Cajun Roots Reseller. You give me an offer and I'll take it.
I say, this is Johnny's place, where you can have it for no problem. I got the dollars.
Fixed income, no credit, bad credit. Here at Cajun Roots Reseller, that's no problem.
Let them have it.
I've got my dollars and I sent in my best offer.
We say yes. See the special man. The easiest man on YouTube.
You got the dollars? We got the offer? Let them have it with no problem. Hello, and good morning on this TGIF, and it's a crisp 27 degrees. It's supposed to get up in the 50s today. I doubt it. We'll see, because tonight we're getting some more snow and rain. It's going to be nasty this afternoon, so I'm going to be indoors this weekend again. So let's get to the chat, and let's see who was here. Early was Charlie. Hello, good morning, and welcome. And Glenn, hello, good morning, and welcome, and good luck on finding good stuff at those garage sales. Living my best life at 60. Hello, good morning and welcome. And Purple Winks. Hello. Anne Marie. Hello, good morning and welcome. And there's Purple Winks. Hello, good morning and welcome. And how you doing? Precious Pearls. Hello, good morning and welcome. And Mark. Hello, good morning and welcome. And how you doing? Let's see who else. Everybody's dropping links. Well, thank y'all for the little emojis in the chat. There's Giovanni. Lord Jesus, here I go again. Lord have mercy. Geneva, hello, good morning and welcome. And how are you doing? Michelle, hello, good morning and welcome. And Cheryl, hello, good morning. It was like a freeze. I don't know why. Jennifer, hello, good morning and welcome. And there's our new feature channel of the week. Let's see if we can get him over 500. He's been struggling at 469 lately. So let's see if we can get him over. He's been doing a lot of buying of memberships this last couple of weeks. And so why not give it to him? Give it to him this week. Let's see who else is here. Gina, hello, good morning and welcome. And yes, do not forget today at 2 o'clock is the Deals of the Dawns every first Friday of each month. Melissa, hello, good morning and welcome. And Patrick, the working Patrick today. Hello, good morning and welcome. And how you doing, sir? Let's see who else is here. And everybody else is saying hello to each other. So today's calendar of events. We have at 9 o'clock is Silver Hair Stacker Todd. At 9:45, which she goes live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, is Nora, the Stock Explorer. At 10 o'clock today is Ella with her Saves Here First and Victoria's auction. At 10 o'clock, you also have Stacy May Catitudes with her auction, her little morning shows with her crafting. And then at 11:30 is Jackass Retro. At 12 o'clock is Horizon Picks, a solo sale. 1 o'clock is Let's Do Lunch podcast with Angie Resell, Rachel Stickler, and Christine with the Roll Squirrel. They usually do a pre-recorded premiere. Then at 2 o'clock, we do have the Deals of the Dawns. Why do I have just my name on there? Yeah, Deals of the Dawns at 2 o'clock. New England Thrifter Helen goes live at 5. Sabrina goes live at 5. That's Simon Says Let's Make a Deal. At 6 o'clock is Deb's Wood Burning. At 6 o'clock is also Jimmy to Flip It. If you're into wanting to learn more about postcards, ephemera, or even old magazines with advertisements, definitely check him out. He does a listing live tonight. At 6:45, you also have I Spy Queen Anitra. She goes live at 6:45. At 7 o'clock is Living My Best Life at 60. She's doing her, what is this? Special guest live / game night. So definitely check her out. Steve Looking for Silver's on at 7. Treasures Found Jeffrey, which is Jeff, a live auction tonight at 7. 7:30 is Mist Hall Digs live for no reason. And he usually has the middleman and also Tommy the Buffalo Picker. Go check him out. I know I'll try to be there. At least the good Lord is willing. I may, but I'll be there. At 8 o'clock is Horizon Picks Comic Sale auction. Then at 9 o'clock, you also have Vintage Jewels, Gems, and Pearls. That's Margie. And to end the night and start the weekend is Steph Sells Stuff by the Seashore. So check it out. And again, I did post up the second post now in the community tab. If your name was not called today and you do have a show, leave me a comment in that area. I do have a post with the calendar for the public calendar for all to see. But make sure you do leave a comment. That would be the only way you can get yourself added to the calendar, because if you add yourself, nobody's going to see it but you. So definitely make sure you do let me know, and I'll add you to that so everybody can see. Oh, that's why I do that for you. Let's see, Gina, what did I say? I didn't say Gina. No telling what I said. Sorry, Gina. Mia, hello, good morning. I'm going to get it right one day. Surgery on my neck went well. You're awesome. I can't stay. Going back to, will you get you some rest? Hospital till Monday. Well, you definitely get you some rest, and I'm glad to hear everything went well for you. Awesome. Gina. Yes, hope you're doing better. Get well soon. Let's see who else is here. There's the Live for No Reason link. Check it out. It's fun. Very informational too. Kathy, hello, good morning and welcome. And Ping G, hello, good morning and welcome. And how are you doing? Good to see you. Lisa, hello, good morning and welcome. I am looking to see, who am I looking for? My Lifestyle Rewind. Let's see here. And I'm caught up. So yeah, I'm waiting on Laura. She has to bring her children to school. So as soon as she gets to make it, we'll be having her on today for Q&A, all about Etsy. Let's see. She did have a topic she sent me in reference to last week's continuation. She will have the information for the question that was last week in reference to regarding Google Partner Checkout with Etsy. She did her research. She did send me a link to that information, which she's been pretty good at sending me when we have certain questions in the chat. So definitely we're waiting for her to come in. Yes, I agree. Oh, Lord, I'm already subscribed. Leave me alone. There we go. All right, so definitely we'll check that out as soon as she gets here. She did let me know she had to bring her children to school. So that's when she's going to get here. Jeffrey, hello, good morning and welcome, sir. How are you doing? Good to see you. Have a baby Friday. Well, hope you have a great weekend too, Jeffrey. Hello, Craig. How are you doing this morning? Good morning. Hello and welcome. And there's Tommy 2.0, the Bargain Effects. Hello, good morning and welcome. And how you doing? Good to see you. So today, when Laura gets here, we'll have Q&A. So if you have any questions about Etsy, this will be the right time to ask when she gets here. Like I said, she had to bring her children to school. I got a lot of listings done. I got all the packing done. So if you won bingo this past Monday, you should have got a notification with your link to your tracking number. I got all that done this morning because I'm trying to get it all done by today, because tomorrow I ain't going to get out. We're going to have a lot of snow starting tonight. Some areas are getting 5 to 6 inches, and we are part of that little area. So we don't know how much we're going to get, but yep, I ain't going down in there. Not me. I will be posting a new video later today. Fire truck ticket track. Fire truck tickets track with the sirens on. It's going later today about that one. Okay, cool. I used to say that. I couldn't say fire truck when I was a kid. Ooh, that I got my face slapped a lot by saying what I shouldn't be saying, but I couldn't say it. We'll be in Alabama on the 16th through the 22nd of this month, y'all. That's right. Purple Wing says, good morning, Jeffrey. Hope your godmother is doing well. Yes, really. Let's see. Deborah, hello, good morning and welcome. And how are you doing? Good to see you. I don't see Lifestyle Rewind, so I'll wait for that one for Monday. Hopefully she'll come in Monday. Well, hello, Roy. How are you doing this morning, sir? Good to see you. Welcome. Kajun, Howie, home from surgery and chemo procedures. He is now cancer. Awesome. Great news. Thank you for sharing that, Roy. That is awesome. Glad to see he's cancer-free. Yeah, it's a long road. It's a struggle. But the longer you stay and get it all done quicker, the better you get. All right, let me do this while Jennifer, please be kind and hit the thumbs. Yes, please. That does help the channel. All right, so here's the links for Jennifer while she's dropping your links. She never drops her links. And she did put out another video this last week, so go check it out. Get her some watch hours. Show her some love and support. And of course, here's her Etsy store. This weekend, my goal is I've been moving things around because I have to rearrange the whole eBay room. So my quilting machine is now going upstairs in a different room. So I already started the rearrangements upstairs so I can move things from downstairs in the basement to upstairs in the new room. So that's been a lot of work, and I got a lot of that done yesterday. That was my goal yesterday, and I got it done. Oh, Lord, thank you for these goals, because I was determined to get it done yesterday. All right, let's see. When I speak, hold on, wait. I'm way up here. Okay. Oh, let's see. Ella, hello, good morning and welcome. And how are you doing? And Dee Dee, hello, good morning and welcome. And please keep Dee Dee's husbands in your thoughts and prayers, and along with her, where her husband's going through a procedure. So definitely keep her in your thoughts and prayers. And my guest is on today, so I'll be getting her on in a few minutes. You can now select a thumbnail for your Android phone by clicking the thumbnail and selecting your frame you want. I hope you said clicking, because I don't know if you want to lick it. When I speak in the phone, it comes up different things I want to say. Yeah, I know. That's why I don't like using it. With my accent, it tells all kind of stuff when I go to try to talk. That's why I don't do that too often. Live Style Rewind is not here yet. Let's see. Frugal, hello, good morning and welcome. And how are you doing? Good to see you. I have 3 other videos coming today, 2 already recorded. What? You got to make sure y'all subscribe to the Jennifer. Don't miss out. Hit the notifications. Do you make a milkshake? That's a good question. I bet she likes them, though, because they got them all over the place. I haven't had a good milkshake in a long time. You're welcome, Dee Dee. Let's see. I have been trying to fix my sewing machine for 5 days. Ooh, Lord Jesus. Yeah, I got to get mine all set up and move. So anywho, now we are ready to bring on Laura. She is here. And so here we go with our Q&A all about Etsy. And here's DzinesLaura. Good morning.
Good morning. Hello, everybody. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Friday morning.
Yes. Jeffrey, hope everything works out, because that's why I don't use my phone to talk in, because Lord Jesus, there's stuff they type up that I think I said and I didn't say. I understand. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started. Deborah, have you slept? Yeah, Deborah, have you slept? Lord Jesus. Yes, clicking. I kind of figured that, Mark, but I know how sometimes you like to joke, so I wasn't sure, All right, so Laura, now that you're here, I know you understand you do have to go bring your children to school. So I know you sent me a link that we were talking about last Friday, that you told somebody that someone asked a question, and you said you were going to do the research and bring that results this morning. And you did send me the link. I didn't get a chance to read it yet.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm gonna break it all apart for you. I just thought if somebody wanted to fact check what I'm saying, they, you don't need to read it unless you really want to. But if anybody wants to fact check me, I'm going to give you the link that was my source, is what I wanted to do. So, yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to drop that link in the channel.
Okay.
But before we get started with the actual Q&A, to give people a chance to start asking questions, talk a little bit about your channel, what you're starting to do with your lives, and also a little bit more promote yourself.
Okay. Well, my name's Laura. I've been creating jewelry since 1993. I did my first in-person show 30 years ago. Actually, tomorrow will be my 30-year anniversary, the first Saturday of March. I made my first online sale in 2012, so 10 years of that, almost 13 years coming up. And I made my first YouTube sale this year. My first live from my channel was yesterday. It was a test live, and people actually did show up. So if you want to feel good about yourself, watch that live, because it was a hot mess, but I did it. And Johnny, I followed your instructions on your YouTube videos.
Awesome.
And I did not need to get permission from YouTube like I originally thought. So yeah, I'm in my future events. Saturday, I'm having a birthday bash. Saturday is my birthday. I'm going to go live, so I know I can do it. But I am going to be working through my clunkiness in showing the items. So it's still going to be kind of testing, but I am going to go live, and there will be some deals on my handmade jewelry because it's my birthday and we're going to celebrate. I am doing a co-sale with Maria California Thrifter, Jane Newhouse on Jane's channel, which is Doggone Happy Vintage. That is going to be March 13th. It's a Monday, and it's going to be a late night sale. I watched last week's sale, and it was a hoot. Those ladies are funny. So if you just want to relax in the evening and have a good laugh, that's the place to be. So, and that's it.
Okay, I want to go back in. There was a few people that came in.
Okay.
Margie, hello, good morning, and welcome. And there's the links for the shows coming up today. You always have to fact check the fact checker. Eddie, hello, good morning, and welcome. How are you doing? Mark and Mike, hello, good morning, and welcome. How y'all doing? Good to see you. Jennifer's dropping those links. Check those links out, please, and make sure if you are liking their content that you do subscribe. One of the things I have to say about Laura, which she hasn't mentioned yet, is I know when she first started coming into the chat, she had some questions, and she has been watching some of the how-to videos that I put out, and thank you for that, because I'm glad it's helping you. That's the main reason I started doing that, for that reason, to help those out, and I do step-by-step for that reason. But Laura was one of those that when she first started, she was nervous, and you know that special word I love to hear in the chat when somebody comes in, that word yet. And she just did it. She just went on ahead and started doing videos. And so that's the thing about it, you know, just do it. You know, you're going to learn from your mistakes, and there's nothing wrong with that. Hello, Larry. How are you doing, stranger? How are you been? Good to see you. Welcome back. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get started with the Q&As. And I do have the link that you're going to talk about starting from the question we had last Friday. Yep. That she said she would bring on to the day. So I'm going to drop that link if you would like to check it out. You can save it to watch it. It is on the e-commerce bites. I'm going to drop that link now while she brings up the conversation of what that question was from last Friday, so y'all can follow if you would like. And that's her information for the topic of that question.
All right. So the question that came up that I did not have an answer for was regarding, it's called Google Partner Checkout Program. I remember reading about it while I was reading up on Etsy's outside ads. That's why my counter question to the person was, are you participating in Etsy outside ads? And I'm going from memory. I'm pretty sure they said no.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so according to Etsy's own handbook, they are not putting any listings in their partner checkout program unless you are participating in Etsy outside ads. So I'm not sure why. Maybe there is a possibility you're participating in outside ads and you're not aware of it. My understanding is when a shop opens up, you're automatically enrolled into the outside ads, and that you need to toggle that off. Now, if I'm wrong or they change that, I apologize, but I think it's a good thing to double check. If you don't want to participate in the outside ads, I believe you need to toggle that off. The outside ads are very different than the ads that are on Etsy. And this is the part with Etsy that gets confusing because they have so many different programs and the variations of it are very, very different. Now, there is some controversy. I did go through the forums and I read there are some sellers who are upset about the partner checkout program. And what it is a shopper, a buyer, a customer can be on Google, and they were mentioning Facebook too, looking like shopping, and they can purchase an item that's on Etsy without ever going to the Etsy website. Etsy is promoting as you're going to get more traffic and it's easier for the customer. There's a lot of controversy around it, so you should probably really know the facts before you. There are little tricks to get out of it if you don't want to be in it. And the reason I didn't know about it is because I don't offer free shipping. Your listing has to fit very specific criteria for Etsy to put you in this. You have to offer free shipping. You have to be located in the United States and shipping to the United States. Your listing cannot have any variations. I tried to go onto Google and find one of these to confirm that you cannot see the description, but I was unable to find one that fit all of these variations. So the buyer can see your title, your photos, your shipping policy, not your shipping cost because it must be free shipping. They can see your policies. They cannot see your description, which I think is where a lot of the controversy comes from, at least half of it. If the buyer isn't reading the description, they're going to have a misconception of what they receive, and they're going to probably want to return it or leave bad feedback. And that happens a lot. The other thing that and this is the part I was unable to fact check. People on Etsy think that your information, like if you made a sale on Facebook, that Facebook will now have your information because Etsy says they will give, Facebook enough information on you. What if you sell over $600? I know the $600 has been put on delay. Will we be getting, that 1099 from Facebook? And how does Facebook get our information, and how do they protect it? But I was unable to fact check how much information the other party like Google or Facebook gets about us. I can't find it anywhere. Makes me think that maybe sometimes the buyer or the Etsy shop is upset, and maybe they heard it somewhere and they just didn't fact check it. So now the fact that Etsy has a policy different than eBay, you are allowed to put text in your photos. So if you're someone who does want to participate in the checkout program, you could, not your first photo, but in your photos after that, you could put pertinent information that otherwise would be in your description. You are allowed to put that. I have seen shops successfully use a picture of text to help sell their item to those who don't read the description. Yeah, on eBay, you're not allowed to put text in your photos. Etsy, yes, you can. So, and use that to your benefit. I need to do that, but it's very time consuming to make those big changes. Let me just go over my notes. Really sorry, guys. Okay, and the other thing that will get you out, that will make your listing not eligible, is if you have a personalization that's required. Now remember, on personalization on Etsy, there's a toggle where it's required or not required. So you can still offer personalization on an item with no variations and free shipping to the US as long as your personalization is not required. So that's a lot of information. If anybody has questions about that, or if it was too much and you want to move on, it's like whatever you guys want to do with that, I will follow along.
And I did drop the link in the chat that goes with the e-commerce bites if you want more information. So my question on that is, where would we find the settings for this type of stuff if we want to opt out on the Google search?
Okay. On the Google, okay, so for the partner checkout, there is no way to opt out. Like, you can't just go in and toggle it off. Etsy's going to put you in there if your listings fit their criteria. So if you don't want to be in it, if you have this is so confusing, you guys. I'm sorry. First of all, if you're like me and you're forced to be in offsite ads, then I'm also forced into the partner checkout program. There's no way for me to get out. Newer shops who've made less than 10,000 every year they've been on can opt out of the offsite ads. So that would be your way. If you don't want to participate in offsite ads, opt out of that, and you won't be included in the partner checkout program. My shop, the way I'm not eligible to be in the partner checkout because I charge for shipping. So right there, that knocks me out. All of my listings have a variation, whether it's a size or a color or a class. That knocks me out. And I also require personalization on some of my listings, which knocks me out. So I'm out on 3. I hope that made sense. It's very complicated.
Do they charge us? Are they charging us for anything that has to do with the Google ads or any partnership programs?
Okay. So the offsite ads, not the partner checkout, but the offsite ads, you're either charged 12% on the total sale or 15% on the total sale if somebody clicks on it and makes a purchase. If somebody only clicks, there's no charge. Now that's different than on-site ads. So realize there are times you could get charged. If somebody uses the partner checkout, there is no advertising fee. You will pay your normal Etsy fees, but there is no And I fact checked that because I know who wrote the article for e-commerce bites. There were 2 comments below, and both of them were factually wrong. So there is no partner checkout. There's no advertising fee, but the customer cannot see your description. And that sale, the terms, your sale is not going to fall under the terms of Etsy. It falls under the terms of Facebook or Google. And Facebook, I didn't factually check this, but somebody said that Facebook requires 30-day returns. If that's true, that sale that you made, you have to follow Facebook's terms of use. Even if your listing says no returns, that's my understanding. The way I read this is that sale now falls under Facebook, which was causing a lot of controversy because sellers didn't want, A, they didn't want their information sent to Facebook, and B, they didn't want to use Facebook's terms of use. So anybody who does not want to use the partner checkout, I think it's fairly easy to get out of it by not allowing your listing to fall under their criteria.
So you get a notification if it sells through the partner checkout program through Facebook? How do you know? I read that, and I wish I could have went into my dashboard to look, but I know I've never had one. Etsy did not tell us how to know the difference. Okay.
It will appear in your sales just like any other sale. Now the customer gets 2 emails, sale notification emails. They get an email notification from Etsy and a notification from whoever the partner was, whether it was Google or Facebook. So they're getting 2 notifications. If anyone out there has had one of these sales, if you could tell us how you knew, that would be really good information, because I was unable to find that.
Yeah, I haven't had any yet. Most of them are all through Etsy. That's what I was wondering.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have any questions having to do with Etsy and you would like to get those, try to get answered today, do me a favor and put the capital Q and then at Kajun Roots, or just capitalize the word question and then your question, so we can make sure we get those answered for you, because today is all Q&A about Etsy. And again, if she cannot or does not know the answer, she will research it and bring it on the following week with that question asked in the chat. So we want to make sure that we do cover that for that reason. It's basically the basics. So if you have any questions, definitely make sure you do ask, because we want to make sure we get those answered for you, especially if you have not started Etsy and you want to get into it, or you're thinking about it and you're having questions about it. This will be the great time to do this on Fridays, as we're getting back to the basics on a Q&A all about Etsy. I do have the link open, and again, if you can find it in the chat, you're more than welcome to get it. I will drop it again. For those that are just coming in, you don't know what we were talking about. This has to do with the question from last week. And there's the information about it, which is off of the e-commerce bites. If you're not registered with them and you're not getting your notifications for those, definitely do that, because there's a lot of great information that comes out on that, especially when there's updates or anything like that.
Yeah. Ina's a very reputable reporter on there, and she writes about not just Etsy, but she writes about changes on eBay and other platforms. So yeah, she does an excellent job.
All right, Laura has a question. To get your payouts, can you link PayPal to your Etsy, or does it link to directly to your bank?
Back in the old days of Etsy, before they required to use Etsy payments, you could link your PayPal. You can know, if you're in the United States, I don't know about every other country, because there are some countries that are still using PayPal with Etsy. But if you're in the United States, I think most of us are. If not, I apologize. But no, you can no longer link your PayPal account. You must link a bank account to get your payouts.
I just saw it, I want to say 2 years now, might be a year. And I had to directly do my checking account.
Yeah, me too. I directly linked to my checking account.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, you do not get paid until is it 3 days after they receive the item and they do a feedback, correct?
It's different whether you're an established shop or if you're brand new making your first sale. And it's been so long since I've been brand new and the policies have changed. I can look that up, Johnny, for new shops, when new shops get paid. When new shops get paid. I will look that up for next week.
Yeah,
if you're an established shop, you make a sale, like I made a sale last night, it will, and their financial page is fun to explain too. If on the day that I made the sale, I'm going to have to get like your number, you'll see it down towards the bottom of the page. And then the next day, these funds become available and they show up on the top number. And that causes a lot of confusion too. People will ask, well, how come I don't have any funds up here? Well, you got to wait the 24 hours if you're an established shop. I'll find out how long you have to wait if you're not established. Then when the money appears up at the top of the page, it's in green, you are allowed to ask for that to be deposited. Now, some people like to do it once a month. Some people do it once a week. Some people do it every day, which is business days. You can ask for that deposit, but it won't transfer over until it's not a banking holiday. Today's Friday. I have money there. I could click send my money, and some banks take longer. My bank, it's there it will be there Monday, the very next banking day, not Saturday or Sunday, and not like a Martin Luther King Day or something like that where the post office is closed. Some banks will take longer for that money to actually get deposited. I think it's 3 business days.
Well, the reason I ask is I know when I first started, for every sale I made, I wouldn't get paid until after it was delivered, and they gave me a feedback within 3 days. But now I don't see that anymore, so I didn't know if they're still doing that and how that works.
Okay. I will look into what the current procedure is for new shops for next week.
New shops, right?
Yep.
Let's see. I saw Live Style Rewind. Listen, I have your answer to a question you had last Monday on the YouTube, and I will bring that answer to you on Monday. So please try to make sure you make it for Monday's YouTube Q&A. I do have that answer for you. I had a long talk with Robert about it this morning because I finally remembered by going to my phone and looking at the questions. So I'll have your answer for you for Monday. Let's see. For me, it's every day if it's over $25. Okay. Yeah, like I said, at the beginning, I had to wait 3 days after they received it, and they had to give me a notification of a feedback. Now I don't see that anymore. So it may be because I was still new back then when it happened. Let's see here. Dawn, hello, good morning, and welcome. Don't forget, today at 2 o'clock, we do have our Dawn's Deals of the Dawns, and Dawn's going to be with us today. Susie, good to see you. Hello, good morning, and welcome. I'm looking to see if there's any questions. Robin, hello, good morning, and welcome. Gate Smasher, hello, good morning, and welcome. And don't forget to put your questions in the chat if you have anything that has to do with questions with Etsy, is what we're here for today. It also has to be over $25 to every day, no fees back required to get paid out. Okay. I'm glad to hear that. So yeah, if y'all have any questions, definitely please ask. I will be there. Yeah. And so yeah, if you have any questions, definitely ask in the chat, because that's what we're here for, to answer in case if you're interested in getting into Etsy. We want to make sure we try to answer those for you. I never had to wait for feedback to get. Yeah, it was only like the first 2 sales I had. But I've only been there, a little over a year, I think. When I've been since I've been on.
Yeah, and Jennifer, things have changed in the last 4 years regarding new sellers because of how many fraudulent shops would open up and they would sell something really high dollar, never send it, then they would disappear. They had an overseas checking account, and there was no way for Etsy to recoup that money. So they have stopped letting the payouts go. They hang on to the money until they know for sure. Like, and if you're here in the country, you might have had to wait 3 days. If you're over somewhere else, you have to wait longer because that international shipping takes a lot longer. And it's really a way to protect all of us, because if Etsy can't recoup that money, we're going to pay higher fees. Right. So it's inconvenient, but it's necessary.
Right. And that's, again, not on any platform, because of the fact they want to make sure you're not only shipping the item, but you're shipping the item that they paid for, and they received it in the right condition that you sold it, that you had listed.
Yes.
I saw Jennifer say, I hope you're feeling better. Live Style Rewind. I hope you get to feeling better too. And again, if you have any questions with Etsy, please make sure you do ask. What are some of the tips you would like to give for those who are thinking about getting into Etsy, but may not know of what kind of questions to ask, but again, haven't done it yet?
And no question is silly, you guys.
Right.
I would ask them, especially if you read a comment from a shop. I cannot tell you how many factually wrong things I read last night as I was doing my research. It was cringy. It was really, really cringy. I did do some searching also about vintage clothing because I know Glamma's Closet she's really interested in starting her vintage clothing. There is a lot of vintage clothing on there. And I noticed they are using the word vintage in their title. So I believe it's okay to use the word vintage in your title, but it really messed up my search. And trying to help people with the basics of search is like me trying to tell you how to use an L.E. Smith glass lamp that's broken. It is my opinion that Etsy search is not working to our benefit. I'll put it that way. When I would type in the words vintage clothing, some things would populate down below. It gave me the option to choose women's 1990s, which I thought this is what Glamma's is probably going to be doing a lot of. So I clicked on that. The word vintage disappeared from my search. I wish I could. The vintage was in the person's title, but it disappeared from my search, if that makes sense at all. I know. I don't know that it will. But then anytime I tried to search, my search was really messed up. I actually had to close out that browser and start all over. And I couldn't even find my own items after I typed in the word vintage in my search. Wow. I have no explanation for what's going on with that. I did notice that the clothing, vintage clothing sellers are using the decade, whether they typed in 90S for 90s or they typed it all out 1990s. They were using that in their description, in their title. I didn't go in and look at tags, but they were using that, and there's some really nice stuff. I think the vintage clothing is a good category. I found some things I was interested in. The tip after you get your title, if you need help finding search terms for your title, type in like vintage clothing, and a list will populate of what terms customers are currently using to find those items. Retro was one I hadn't thought of. Retro is a great term to use, I think. Yeah, you can find new terms. So once you get your title, the difference between a stuffed title and a long title. A stuffed title uses the same word over and over and over. You don't need vintage top, vintage 1990s, vintage shirt. You don't need it. You just put the vintage or the shirt or the top one time in your title. If you use it over and over, that's considered stuffed. A long title is when you have enough relevant search terms that a customer is going to use them. Then my next tip, once you get your title in there, use your tags. A lot of people keep saying they're not being found, but then when I go to look, there's no tags. Your category that like women's clothing is an automatic tab because you stuck that in the category. But your tags come from your title. When you're like in your tag, you would put 1990s vintage, or you would do 1990s clothing. You would put your colors are another thing that you would put down in your tag. The size, anything that you think, whether it's formal or casual, those are the things that you want to put in your tags because that's what the person might be searching for. Once you get a good title and a tag, make sure your pictures are click worthy. Nothing worse than paying for ads and then nobody clicks on your picture because they can't see, the lighting is off. And you want to get like Glamma said, you want pictures from all sides when you're doing the clothing.
Right. Okay.
So those are my tips. Those are my tips for a beginner.
We have questions in the chat now.
Okay.
Live Style Rewind says, I know I'm just sorry, but that's okay. Live Style Rewind, I understand. You may have talked about this, but I have heard it's pretty difficult to get established as a new seller on Etsy because the veteran accounts are favored so much. Is that true?
I'm a veteran account and I'm not favored. I couldn't even find my listings last night. And I know that jewelry is saturated, but I have a niche of spoon earrings. I couldn't even find my spoon earrings last night.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't feel like I am favored. I didn't feel the love last night. Let me tell you, it was ugh, why can't people find my earrings? But that's okay. I'm selling them everywhere else. It is hard to get established. I can tell you how I did it because I actually put off. I first heard of Etsy in 2010, and it took me 2 years to list something. This is how I did it. This is not the only way, and I've told this story so many times, but I'm going to tell it again. I searched on Etsy how many spoon rings there were, and it was an astronaut. I want to say 10,000. And I'm like, nobody is going to find me. There's 10,000 spoon rings. Nobody will find me. It was discouraging. But then I went to eBay and I searched spoon ring, and then it clicked in my mind, do a reverse search on highest price. What is the absolute highest spoon ring out there? And I know you might not believe me, but if you can actually Google this story about this ring. It was selling for $900. It was a Little Red Riding Hood spoon ring. It was being worn by an actress who was extremely relevant at the time, Kristen Stewart. She was photographed wearing this Little Red Riding Hood. Also has the Big Bad Wolf. It was tying into the Twilight series. I'm not kidding. $900. You can fact check this. So I then started searching for the spoon. I found one. I paid $100 for this spoon. I knew I had something. This is my opportunity to list on Etsy. There were maybe six rings were listed at the time, and people had a wait list. They were taking names as a wait list. You don't need to go this extravagant, but this, if you can find, like if you're going to do vintage clothes. Okay, so I bought this spoon. I made the ring. I listed it. I opened my shop. I listed it for $299, and within 3 days, I sold it. You can also fact check it. If you go to my Etsy shop, go to the reviews, look at the reviews. On my very first review, on page 1 of my reviews, is a picture of the ring and the review that my very first customer left.
Wow.
So yeah. So I'm not blowing smoke. I'm not trying to brag. It's a way to be relevant. If you're going to sell vintage clothing on Etsy, go on over to whatever. I don't know anything about vintage clothing, but I would do a search on your highest thing. Maybe it's a Diane von Furstenberg dress. Maybe that's what people are paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars for. Get your hands on a couple and list them if it's not a saturated market. I hope that makes sense. That's one way to get started. Another way to do it is just do it. You're going to pay 20 cents to list something. Just do it.
Now, also, isn't that like every 3 months, though, for you to pay that total?
4 months.
4
The
months.
listing is good for 4 months.
Yeah.
You'll pay 20 cents for 4 months. Yes. And you can edit your listing if you need to.
Right. Now, Jennifer has a question. I do not ship overseas, but would like to start offering it. Is there anywhere you would not ship to?
Yeah, a lot of places. If you're going to ship to Germany, you have to register with Germany, I think. I'm reading this because I only ship in the United States, so I don't know a lot, but I'm reading you have to actually register with Germany that your packaging fits their criteria. If you don't do that and your package gets to customs in Germany, they don't send it back to you, they just destroy it. Now, if I'm wrong about that, I apologize, but that's why I stopped. A good place to start, Jennifer, would be Canada. If you want a place to start, I would start with Canada. Another place I found very friendly was Australia. The customers, I love Australian customers, and New Zealand. Oh my gosh, they're like so nice. But oh gosh, make sure you know how much it's going to actually cost to ship there, because you don't want to sell something to Australia and then find out charge $15 and find out it costs $30 to ship it.
You know, it's almost like Amazon because you have to apply for the different countries you want to sell in.
There's other countries where the mail just doesn't get through. Like Mexico is tough. A lot of stuff gets stolen.
Tommy wants to know, do you use commas and periods in your titles?
No, I use 0 punctuation. I may have some old listings out there that still have the punctuation because I tried it for a while because we were being told years ago that it needed to be easy for the customer to read. And so I would put commas in between my phrases that I would use, like then I would use handmade flatware ring, comma, artisan created from silverware, comma. I've been taking them out. The commas don't help you. Or these little slashes that people use. It's wasting a character that you could put in a word that does matter later on. Google ignores the punctuation, and I also see people putting slashes and then no space. Google needs a space between your words, so I do not use punctuation at all. I do use phrases that make sense to the customer.
Now, this comment was when you talked about your rings. Margie said that they are beautiful rings that you got. You got skill.
Thank you. I'm glad a beautiful lady is wearing it.
Also, Angie, it's me. Angie is 15 away from her 1K milestone. So if you can check and see if you are subscribed, make sure you do hit the notifications, but make sure you go back and watch videos and leave comments so that your subscription can stick so we can get her to 1K. The stats, hello, good morning and welcome. Adam, hello, good morning and welcome. Let's see. I don't know vintage clothing, but I'm vintage. Mom knows treasure. Hello, good morning and welcome, Yvonne. She says she ships everywhere except Germany.
And Mom Knows Best is very knowledgeable about reselling. So if she says it, and if she's not shipping to Germany, there's a reason why.
Susie says, I've been selling to European buyers, and I love the seller ships the item to Etsy's headquarters in Smithtown, New York, and Etsy ships it to the buyer. I didn't know that. I like that. Yeah, I don't sell overseas either right now. I'm still got things to do on my Etsy store. I have to go. All right, you have a good day, Susie. Thank you for being here. And let's see. I use calculated shipping, so that would Etsy's job.
Good. And you have small items, Jennifer, so I think that'll.
I use calculated shipping, so that would Etsy. So what happens when you do calculated shipping with Etsy?
It's similar to eBay's calculated shipping. You put in the weight, the size of the package, and then Etsy will calculate that shipping, and that's what that buyer will see. A buyer in Canada will see, I'm just throwing a number out, $15 for shipping, where I'm in the United States, and if I was buying Jennifer's item, I would probably see $4.50 or $5.
Right. Okay, because I use calculated shipping on most of it. Thomas says, if you have multiple quantities, are you charged the listing fee every time one sells?
Yes, and let me take a deep dive into that 20 cents. I always forget to say it's for 4 months. So yes, the listing fee of 20 cents is for 4 months. Let's say I list some earrings and I have 4 pair of earrings. When I list that, I put the quantity of 4, but when I list it, I get one 20-cent charge. Okay, they're not going to charge me for 80 cents because I listed 4. One, if that sells in 2 months, halfway through my 4-month time, if one of them sells, it's going to automatically relist the other 3. And at that time, at the time of sale, if you still have another quantity, you will be charged your second 20 cents.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Okay.
So if you don't want to be charged, if you have a quantity of 1 and it sells, it doesn't relist and you won't be charged another 20 cents unless you manually go in and relist with another 1 quantity.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know that because I usually do one of on Etsy. All right.
I like replenishables because listing and photographs and descriptions take a lot of time. If you can do a replenishable, then you can keep making money off of that listing over and over and over without all that time investment.
Exactly. All right. So if you have any questions about Etsy, please make sure you do ask in the chat. Either put the capital Q with my @CajunRoots, or make sure you put the word question all in caps so I can get your question for you. We'd like to get your answers for you. So if I see it, we'll definitely ask of the question. I just dropped the link to the show. If you would like to come on and join us on the panel with the topic of Q&A about Etsy, you're more than welcome to join us. But don't forget, I do ask that you do make sure your camera is on so I can verify that it is you. But I know some people don't like using their camera, but as long as I can verify that you before I bring you on, you're more than welcome to come in. I'll take the camera off after that. You can take it off. Let's see here. And I don't see any other questions. Now, do you recommend, say you have an item that's been sitting there for a while, do you recommend either one, going in and maybe changing the titles, maybe doing some description changes? What do you recommend if you have an item that's been sitting there for a while that has not sold?
I do, if something expires, I have all of my listings set to manually relist, which means when it expires, it goes into my expire folder, and I can go in and decide from there if I want to relist it or not. Now, I kind of stopped relisting everything that expires because I feel like and if someone knows, does this drag your shop down now with this new artificial intelligence that they're using? If something expires, does that drop me down? I don't know. Before I relist anything, though, every single time I go into it and I look at my title, is there any improvement that can be made? Then I go and look at my tags. Does it match? Look at your pictures, look at your description, look at, and sometimes they Etsy has added in this new upcycled, recycled, there's new things to click on, like we didn't already have enough. But look at that listing. If it's something you're like, man, this really should be selling, like my earrings, like nobody can find them, they're probably going to expire. I guess you could adjust the price. I don't. I'm not very good. One thing I like about Etsy is that we're not constantly going back and forth with the customer regarding price. They don't. Hi, Mark. They don't offer the option of making offers. So I have gotten into the habit of pricing things the lowest that I will take. I don't know if that's a good strategy, but I don't usually play with price because I don't think it's the price. I really do feel like it's something to do with the search.
Okay.
So before you relist it, I recommend looking at those pictures, because if your picture isn't click worthy, everything else you've done is it just won't help you.
Tommy has a question too. When you have a endless replenishable, what do you think is good quantities to list as available?
I go with 5 or 6, but I do have a listing on there. It's that handmade supply thing. I could list a lot more, but I have 1-day shipping handling. So if someone comes in and orders so many, it was off Etsy. Someone placed a huge order. It took me all week to work on it. If that had happened on Etsy, I would have gotten myself into trouble making all of that huge order and getting it out the next day. So I never list more than, if like the worst happened and everything sold, would I still be able to get that out within my processing time? So make sure that your quantity is something you can handle within your processing time. I do see shops that have 10, and if you're doing like a decal, I could see that. I could see somebody wanting 10 decals. So if you can do that, then you should definitely list it. I go with 5 or 6, especially with the handmade jewelry. Although some listings with variations, if you have 2 mediums and 3 larges, it's going to show the customer that you have 5 available, even though there's only 2 smalls and 3 larges available. So it adds it all up.
Jennifer has a question in reference to my Etsy shop is all jewelry. Have other vintage stuff that I want to list too. Would you put it all into one shop, or should I make another shop to list it?
Okay, you're asking me what I would do. I know other people do multiple shops. I will only have one shop on Etsy. I have one email to check. A customer can see everything you have, and you will get people when they love your shop, they are loyal to you. There's a rule. Etsy has a rule that will get you shut down, and not everybody knows this rule. If you have more than one shop on Etsy, even if it's a buyer-only account, you must show all of your shops that you have must be shown. I believe it's your about section. It might be in your about section. You have to list every shop that you have, even your buyer-only accounts. If you don't do that on all your shops, you could possibly get shut down. And the little Etsy self-appointed police officers love to report that one because they know it works.
I was wondering because I thought you can only have one store.
You can have one store. That's the other thing. It's highly regulated. You can have multiple stores if they're different categories. If I tried to open up a spoon ring shop and a spoon bracelet shop, I would get shut down. They're competing with each other. They think that you're trying to control search by having more than one shop. If you have completely different things, and the reason you want two shops is so you're not confusing to the customer. If Jennifer has handmade items and she does not want her customers to become confused that her vintage items are not handmade, that is a legit reason to have two shops. Just you need to link them in your about section. Everybody needs to know you have two shops.
All right, you got me thinking now. Because I have homemade stuff, handmade stuff, which is my quilts, and I have hard goods.
Johnny, but I'm my opinion, because she did ask my opinion, because I may start listing some vintage jewelry on my Etsy shop. I will only have one shop.
Yeah, I only have one now.
You have to use a separate email. You're going to have it is a lot of extra work running two shops. So for me, I like things streamlined and concise. I will only do one, but you can do two as long as you follow their rules.
Stats would like to know, is Etsy a good place to sell cards? Now, are you talking about specifically like sports cards, Pokemon cards, things like that in general?
Yeah, I would need to know what kind of cards that would be.
I haven't listed any, so I don't know.
I see Michael. Hi, Michael. I usually see Mark, but there's Michael.
Good morning, Jocelyn.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
So Etsy, I thought it was all handmade goods.
It is handmade. I'm sorry, Mark. It's handmade, vintage 20 years or older is how Etsy defines vintage. Or you can sell, I always forget the word, supplies. If it's inherently a supply.
Oh, supplies like for if you're creating jewelry
beads.
Or
your
if
beads.
Or yes, trading cards, card stocks and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes. If it's something that's inherently a supply. One example that doesn't, even though it's there, just because you see it, is like a sweatshirt blank that you would maybe print on. Sweatshirts, this is Etsy's definition. I got it right from their handbook. A sweatshirt is not inherently a supply because you could wear it without doing anything to it. So you're not supposed to be listing blank sweatshirts. Where if you had a bead that you really couldn't wear a bead unless something was done to it, it's a craft supply. You can list beads.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right. So
that's what we were confused.
Real quick, the stats question, it's all cards, not just one. All
cards. You are not going to be able to list sports cards unless they're vintage. But I actually would really, I'm guessing vintage sport cards would be okay. Running through what I know. I'm writing this down though. If you are selling greeting cards, you need to be the one who designed it. If you use somebody else to print your greeting cards, they must be listed as a production partner, and you must follow all the rules for a production partner.
And he says yes. The stat says yes, vintage.
Vintage?
But they must be over 20 years old, and you must be able to prove that they are over 20 years old.
I actually really want to do a little more research on that, the vintage sports cards. I don't know why. There's just something about it.
This is my question. A lot of people will say, I'm selling vintage jewelry. There's a difference between contemporary use, new in box, and actual vintage jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
So how does Etsy actually police that? Because I could say anything was vintage. vintage looking, vintage style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there are a lot of people who say vintage style or things. Okay, I don't have a great example, but let's just say I have a ring here. And this ring was manufactured by, I'm going to just pull a name out of the hat, Sarah Coventry. But she made this ring, was made over a span of 30 years. So it could be 30 years old and it could be last year. Etsy will, one of the questions that they could come back and ask you is, they could say, how do you know that this wasn't produced last year? So when you make sure it really is vintage, and let me tell you, the vintage shop owners on there are ruthless. They do not like anybody listing anything vintage that isn't actually vintage.
Okay. I'm switching gears for just a minute because these are spoon rings, correct?
Those okay, so they look like legit spoon rings. Are there markings on the inside of the spoon ring? What does it say? You don't have to tell me what it says, but it doesn't say.
It doesn't say. Well, the way they were cut,
Well,
I don't. One of them says Rogers.
Okay, that's a legit spoon ring.
Okay.
The fakes don't say Rogers.
These are legitimate spoons. These weren't something that's manufactured to look like a spoon ring.
Right, and those are out there. But here's the problem you're going to run into. Did one of you guys make that ring?
No.
Then you can't list it on Etsy.
Okay.
Somebody else made
I claimed it.
Somebody, if you drill a hole and rivet it, you can sell it. But the way it is right now, somebody else may. I know it's Etsy rules. Don't be mad at me. It's Etsy's rules. You can list that on eBay though.
Well, that just seems. See, all of this is kind of confusing with this Etsy.
Yep, it is. Yes.
And I can understand. Etsy is a platform that is looking to maintain a certain quality standard. Is that correct?
They like to use the word, in the spirit of Etsy. You will read that in there. This isn't in the spirit of Etsy. They use a lot of language.
Yeah, well, sounds like a pyramid scheme.
And then when you go and have something happen, you're like, oh, is this the spirit of Etsy? So they kind of do it to themselves by putting those things out there, but then they're not consistent with it.
Okay.
All right. Bridget has a question. I'm seeing products on Etsy that are branded new stock decor items from market. For example, items that you would find in a floral boutique. They look vintage, but they are modern. Is that allowed?
Like when you say floral boutique, you're not saying like a spray of flowers that somebody would use that as an ingredient in their, craft project. I'm guessing you're saying something that's a bouquet that's already made.
I think what you may be saying is maybe these are things that you would add to some sort of.
I'm seeing a product on Etsy that had a brand new stock decor on market. For example, items that they would find in a floral boutique.
Oh.
Like a floral shop, floral, they call them boutiques. They look vintage, but they are modern. Is that
now? If you were to sell a wreath, a grapevine wreath, or a wire wreath that had nothing on it, would that be considered appropriate on Etsy?
A wire wreath that you list as a supply, and it really have to be careful because I was shocked that a sweatshirt link was not allowed. I believe it's allowed. And I know
because they consider that to be a craft supply.
Yes, that you, Mark, would go, or Michael would go and add your beautiful flowers to it and make an arrangement. So yeah, I mean,
but a grapevine wreath you could hang on the door just as it says.
According,
so how does that?
According to their definition, and I don't have the time, nor do they, to ask about every tiny specific thing, but according to their definition, it's not allowed. And I know there's a plethora of it out there. I'm just the messenger in this big mess, and I'm not shocked that someone in the chat is seeing modern home decor items on there. Let me tell you, there are so many fake spoon rings out there that is actually damaged my reputation. They're fake, they break, the silver comes off the first time you wear it, or it turns their finger green. Somebody who isn't knowledgeable about spoon rings thinks that all spoon rings do that. I've also had my picture stolen. I actually don't sell the ring anymore because it's all over the internet. I had to stop selling the ring because it was ruining my reputation. What people would actually receive was not what was in that picture. It was some other piece of garbage. So I know it's happening, and it's hard to watch.
Ella says OJ card may be vintage, but is it worth anything, Mark?
I have done a little bit of research, and it's all over the board.
But you could sell that on Etsy. That O.J. Simpson card.
I really want to check before I answer.
Okay.
Bridget said no. No to the it's hard goods you would find in a boutique shop.
That are modern. They're not supposed to be listing it, and I know they do.
We did not hand make vintage brooches by, say, Trafari.
I doubt they're making those.
But I list vintage jewelry that I know that is dated by certain dates by doing research, and it's still listed in sales.
And the difference with like anything that's marked by a manufacturer that's still manufacturing, like Trafari and Coro and Sarah Coventry, there are catalogs available where you can date those.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I can.
And Etsy says in their handbook that they could come back and ask you to verify that it is actually good. They don't have time to do this, y'all. But that's what their handbook is saying. And I feel like I need to present the information to you that way.
Yeah.
They also said in the handbook that, let's say I inherited my grandmother's spoon ring. She has passed on more than 20 years ago. I cannot claim on that basis that someone who passed away 20 years ago, their items are vintage. They said that wasn't a valid, you had to come up with something more specific than that.
Because the material that it's made from, which is a vintage ring, vintage spoon, you could have gone out to a flea market and picked that up yesterday, cut it off and made a ring.
Yeah,
I going by?
I really didn't understand. Actually, some of the things they put in there, I don't understand. That's just the truth. I'm not an Etsy cheerleader. I try to be real about the place, and I would never want to mislead anybody saying, yes, hurry up, go to Etsy, because you got to know what you're doing there, or the potential to get taken down is there.
I understand that, and that appears to be a little more difficult for a new person getting into it. Do you think that people would be better off to try the another platform first, get comfortable with that, and then go into Etsy once they have some background and wherewithal that they know exactly what they're doing before they jump into it?
No, and let me tell you why. For some people, Etsy is the platform for them to start with. It makes the most sense. I don't think starting several platforms that you don't understand at the same time is a good idea, because you'll get confused.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that would another platform be easier for people to get into, get their feet wet, get to where they understand it before they get into an Etsy platform or Cherish or any of those?
Some people say that Posh and Macari is easier because you don't have to figure out the shipping. Now, I don't use either one of those. So maybe that. I found eBay to be pretty straightforward until you get into trouble with their Vero list. That's where things get complicated.
With what?
Their Vero, what can and cannot be listed, I think, is where, like a beginner, I got lucky because I had no idea. I didn't even use tags. I had no idea what I was doing. I just got lucky, and I like to share my knowledge with people to keep them from getting, because once you're shut down on Etsy, it's final. They won't even listen to messages anymore. Mm-hmm. And I see a lot of innocent people get caught up in it.
Bridget had basically came back with the statement she made again. There is no craft supplies. It seems that items like that you would find at Marshall's is seeing more modern hard goods on Etsy.
Oh.
Not the vintage because they're made from China, is what she's trying to say as far
Right.
as is what she's seeing.
Right.
But
And, yeah, it's there. I get what you're saying. It's there. It's not supposed to be there, and Etsy is not policing it.
Well, one of the things when you list on Etsy, the first thing that comes up on your listing area, there's like 3 different blocks.
Mhm.
The first one is, did you make it? Did someone else make it? Or was it a company, a finished product from a company? Then the next blocks, you have to answer, who was it? Was it completely made, handmade, or whatever? Then the third block will be your year. So you have to answer those before, because I've had one thing I've listed. I went to try to list, and guess what happened? You cannot list that item as the notification I got.
So, and you were honest, but what some people are doing is then they go back and say it was made, but then they say they didn't make it, and then it starts to lead you into the production partner, and then they list it anyway, and they don't have a production partner, and they get into trouble. So
I got scared the first time I did that. It's like, wait, what is a production partner? I don't know nothing about that. So
right, but some people don't know, and they just work their way through it. And that's why, like, when you're starting, I spend so much time saying what can and cannot be listed, because it really is important.
Melissa says that have it appraised at a gemologist. I have a cousin that looks over what I think is worth something. Etsy is a good place for beginners. And again, every platform is different, but one of the things, whenever you're first starting out, no matter what platform you choose, try not to do too many platforms at the same time until you've gotten it under your belt and understand what that platform is doing, because each platform is different. Mercari is totally different than Etsy, and then it's totally different than Poshmark or eBay or Amazon. So definitely make sure you understand it before you go into another platform, because you don't want to overwhelm yourself.
And if you are going to start out on Etsy, now that I know what I know, I don't get too close to the edges when I did my little visual of it has to be handmade, vintage, or supply. But then when they overlap, I don't get involved in the overlap. I stay where the path I know for sure that I made this item myself. I list that. I know for sure this item is a supply inherent, like beads. That's a safe category to get started. So if you are new, I don't want to discourage you, but my opinion would be to go with something that you know for sure is not getting close to that border that could get you into trouble. Start with inherently handmade or inherently vintage, or the antiques. You can do antiques too, or inherently a supply. Learn the platform. Learn how the shipping works. Learn how to get your questions answered. Start reading that manual. Then branch out from there. That's going to be my advice and opinion on that.
Thomas says, I would say if I was to start from scratch and wanted to sell on Etsy, I would start with Etsy because you can learn Etsy. eBay would be super easy.
Oh yeah, yes, that's true. Good point.
Yeah, I find it was easy, but you got to learn all the do's and don'ts on any platform.
Just like these first steps that I keep going over. What can I sell? Titles and tags and pictures. Do that, and yes.
What is the return policy on Etsy, and how is that handled?
Oh, this is a new finds of yesterday. I wonder, are you on Etsy? This is a hotly disputed thing that's going on right now. As a shop owner, you can set your own return policy, and you can even set different policies according to what you're selling. You don't have to have a blanket no returns. You can pick, say on vintage items, you don't want to have returns. You can set no returns for those items. But say you have a handmade items, you want to say accept returns, you can do that. So you can have multiple return policies on your listings. But Etsy can override you at any time. Now, they have a seller protection. If your item or order total is below $250, you're protected under their seller protection. If you're selling a prom dress that's $300, they don't protect you on that. And the person can return it or not. It's very complicated. And it's really individualized is what I should say, is that you could have to be forced into a refund, even if you do not accept returns. So
Bridget also says, so if I source a like new hand crocheted baby Afghan, I can't list that on Etsy?
if you did not crochet it, you cannot list it on Etsy. You would have to list that person either as a production partner. If you wanted the person who made it to be in your shop, you had to buy the materials and be in charge of the pattern.
However, and let me get this right. If she put a sewed a bow on each individual one, then she could sell it as handmade.
She could sew one bow and sell it as she made it. You can take a chain, a manufactured chain and a manufactured pendant, put the two together, that's handmade according to Etsy.
Bridget also says, I want to start listing. What platform should I go start on?
Is that directed? I mean, you're going to get as many different answers as there are platforms.
Right.
Pasha Makari, you could do. I would pick one. What is the item? Let me do a follow-up question. What is the item that you want to list? Because sometimes what you want to list, there's one platform may be better than the other one.
What's a crocheted baby Afghan she's going to sew a bow to?
If she's going to sew a bow to it, I would put it on Etsy, but Etsy has this, another word they like to use to be transparent. You have to be transparent in your description what that is, that what you did was put a bow on it. That item actually might be better on eBay.
So Mom Knows Treasure says, if I had a handmade child's dress, but I don't know who made it, would I still have to list that and so I would have to list a production partner. Yes.
You wouldn't be, if you don't know who did it, you can't use a production partner.
Unless it was vintage.
That's the overlap area. And I will tell you, I did a video on the overlap of vintage and handmade, and Etsy never got back to me.
Because if it were a child's dress that was handmade, and it was clearly by fabric, by design style, and by production technique, how it was made, it is obviously made in the 1930s or 1940s. That would go strictly with vintage and should be acceptable. Am I correct?
Let me, can I?
That's what's confusing me. And I think that's what Bridget had in mind.
I have to think, do you know how computers, you program them and then they go through the steps? I have to go through the steps to decide if something that was handmade, that was the question that they never got back to me on, about something that was made. And here's the example I gave Etsy, and I'm so sorry I don't have the answers, but they were supposed to have a specialist reach back out to me 2 weeks ago, never got it. The example I gave them was, let's just say I kick off, okay? 20 years later, my kids want to sell off all the jewelry that I had on hand. I asked Etsy, could my kids sell, and I can't get the answer out of them. And sometimes I think that it's so technical. I don't want to say just do it because I don't want anyone to get into trouble, but yeah.
Okay.
Last night when I was trying to read up on it,
here's one more thing.
We're not picking on you, Laura.
We're not.
I love this. Thank you.
I know everybody's asking these same questions, and it's just my fat mouth that's saying them. What if you were to go out and source a handmade crocheted item, let's say?
Mm-hmm.
How does Etsy know you didn't crochet that?
They don't, but part of their terms of use is
honesty.
Is being transparent. But here's one telltale whale that they'll know. Have you ever gone to a shop that's everything's handmade, but there's no coherency? It's just like this Afghan, but then suddenly they made a spoon ring, then suddenly they made a t-shirt. And there's no, it's like choppy, and the pictures don't match.
I think there are a lot of gray areas to this Etsy as far as listings. Yes. And I think that's what a lot of people are having questions about in this chat. And I don't know.
I think a good way to use Etsy is to list the things that you know that aren't in that gray area, that are clearly, you made it, clearly vintage, but not handmade by somebody else, or clearly a supply. And the other things, list on eBay or Mercari or Poshmark.
Yeah.
That's the way I approach it.
Well, because until I saw this show, I'm getting an awful lot of information. Because before all of this, I thought everything on Etsy was supposed to be hand fashioned. I thought that was their big thing.
They push, this is my opinion. They push all us handmade people out there is like the magnet to get people. And then when they come in, like, and I forget the YouTube names, but I keep seeing boutique items on there. Etsy, and this is something I don't care for, how they push us handmade people out there. And last night when I tried to search spoon earrings, I could not find my handmade spoon earrings, but I found all this other stuff that wasn't handmade.
That somebody else manufactured.
Yes.
Well, see,
I know.
I'll look at it this way. If you're in doubt that you're not sure, don't do it.
I would list it somewhere else.
Yeah. The moral of it.
okay.
Yeah.
But you do very well on Etsy. Do you not? Etsy is a fit for you. It works for you.
Yes.
But it's not going to be a fit for everybody. Just like eBay is not a fit for everybody, Mercari is not a fit for everybody. You have to find your own path. And I think that's what Johnny's trying to say with all these different people that are coming in and talking about different platforms, that you have to find your own path.
Correct.
And Etsy appears to be your path. You know, you've got a market, you have a strategy, and you have a product that is recognizable and people are looking for you. And that is wonderful. But there are some of us that we have no talent.
I disagree with you vehemently, and that's a fact. You have talent. You really know vintage and antiques. You would do so well. I would love to read your item descriptions. If I got into your shop, Mark, let him write the descriptions. I would be glued to what is he going to say about this item.
Oh, people are always glued, wondering what I'm going to say next.
Tommy makes a good point, because I have seen these lately. Everywhere I see Etsy commercials, it's always about handmade and personalized items. And I see a lot more Etsy commercials now than I've ever seen before.
Yep.
Yes.
That is true. Yes.
Yep. They push us out there, you know, and it just, but then they stomp all over us.
I was going to say, but are they supporting you? Are they using you as a lever to get people into other shops?
Unfortunately, I'm sorry to say it's true. Yeah.
And there's the link to Laura's website as well. All of Laura's information, her website, her Etsy store, her YouTube channel, all that information, and her email is all in the description bar below. Make sure you check her out and check out her website and see what she's got on her page. Go ahead, Michael.
I've enjoyed so much actually seeing you, for one thing.
You do.
She is delightful, and she has given some such good information, and she's much calmer than I am most of the time. But everybody needs to go out and look at her store. Because I'm telling you what, there's some clever stuff in there.
You've been there? You went to my store?
Oh, honey, I went to your store.
I have you saved. I have you saved on mine.
Oh, you guys, you don't even know. Like, really?
Oh, yeah. And, you know, we have a huge following, and I...
With that note,
Michael, will you please list some stuff? Because I want to read these listings.
Oh, I'll give you a listing.
I want to read your descriptions.
Jennifer says she thinks you guys would do really well on Etsy. All right, so what we're going to do is totally off topic, but I'm having my first live auction. Go for it. Put it in the chat, because right now we're going to end the show. Now, remember, if you come up with some questions and you want to know more about Etsy, we're doing this every Friday. As long as Laura can come back on, and y'all come back now and bring your questions. because every Monday through Friday we're doing something different. On Monday, usually it's YouTube and StreamYard. Monday is YouTube and StreamYard. Tuesday is Q&A all about eBay, and that's with the Bargain Effects Tommy in the chat. And then also on Wednesdays, it's Anthony, full-time reseller, What Not Wednesdays. Thursdays, it's Q&A all about Poshmark, and that's with Glamorous Closet. And then, of course, on Fridays, it's Q&A all about Etsy, here with Laura. So definitely come and check it out. Bring your questions, because that's what we want to do. And it makes for a great conversation in the chat, because there may be some others that, when I do drop the link, you're more than welcome to come on and join us on the panel. And that's what we like to do, is collaborate and network and learn more about a different platform. In case if you're interested in getting into those platforms, that's how you're going to know about bringing on the questions. Remember that there is no small or big question that we cannot try to answer. And if we cannot, Laura has been trying to make sure she not only researches it, but then she sends me the links for the next show to make sure I follow what she's saying on the topic. So definitely make sure you do that. And before we go, and I want to make sure that you do check out the public calendar, because there's a lot of different shows coming on today. So do make sure you do check that out. And before we go, I want to make sure that everyone promotes their channel. And so we'll start with Mark and Mike first.
Oh my God. There's so much going on, people.
We just want you to know that we don't have an Etsy store.
We'll have to look
Yet.
at it, though.
Yes.
Anyway, all right. So we got lots of exciting stuff coming up. Sunday, we have the Joy of Auction Sunday with Craig and Christine and virtual shopkeeper Dee. The special guest there is going to be Crafty Kitty Vintage Leanne. On our show at 6 p.m. Eastern, we are going to have Patrick.
Oh, Lord, help us all.
And then on Monday, I'm going to be with Johnny for bingo. I am the new co-host. I'm taking over for Max. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I hope I don't screw this up. It's going to be good.
You'll do fine.
And then Wednesday, I will be on Johnny again for Hump Day Auction.
And you know what else I'm doing? I've got one other thing. I'm going to go into the kitchen and pull out all the spoons, and I'm taking over the Etsy spoon market. I am absolutely taking it over.
No.
I'm flooding the entire. I'm flooding the internet. I'm flooding Etsy. I'm flooding YouTube.
If you see your silver can't even speak. If you start seeing the silverware missing out of your silver sections, you know what he's doing with it.
Michael, do not invite me over for dinner.
Hey,
thank you.
Can I make spoon rings out of stuff from McDonald's?
No, it's not very pretty. It's not so.
Oh, all right. Well, then forget it.
Tried.
All right, Laura, go ahead and promote.
Okay, it's the same that I said at the beginning, but maybe there's some new people.
Yes, there's a lot of new people.
March 13th, which is a Monday, Sweet Maria, California Thrifter, invited me to be on a live sale, but it's on someone else's channel. Her name is Jane, but her channel name is Doggone Happy Vintage. It's a late night Monday show, but oh my gosh, Jane is a hoot. I almost wet myself listening to how funny she is. So I will be drinking some coffee and staying up. This Saturday is my birthday, and I already did a practice live, so I know I can go live. But on this Saturday after Maria's show, it's sometime in the morning. It might be different in your time zone, but I'll hopefully send out some notification to anybody who's following. But I'm going to go live. I have 4 large trays of spoon rings that I'm going to practice like showing and doing some close-ups, and there will be some deals. I kind of gave a hint last night on my test, but there will be some deals. Come help me celebrate my birthday on Saturday, sometime in the morning.
You're muted. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Thank you. I must have did it when I switched over. Anywho, don't forget, I will be there tomorrow because I will be working from the eBay room. So that'll be perfect because I'm staying indoor tomorrow, not outdoor, because it's supposed to snow again tonight, starting tonight. So load up the channel in the chat with balloons and party favors and cakes and cupcakes for Laura. Tomorrow's her birthday, and it is on the calendar. So
Saturday. Oh no, it is tomorrow. Oh,
now,
Yeah.
I was going to buy you a spoon ring, but I couldn't find your store.
if you go to the description below this video on every Friday, you will see all of Laura's information, including her email, her YouTube channel, her Etsy store, and her website. So there's no excuse, Mr. Mark and Mike.
Can you
Anyway.
please upload a video? I want to see how you make these rings. I need to see that.
Ooh.
You know what?
With that being said, thank y'all very much. Do not forget today at 2 o'clock, we do have the Deals of the Dawn, which is only the first Friday of each month. That is Dawn Southern Finds Dawn, Dawn's channel, and Dawn from Two Hip Chicks and our mod, Dawn Sharp. So come check it out. I'll be hosting that, and that's today at 2 o'clock. So with that being said, thank y'all so much for always coming out and checking out the channels. Again, don't forget Monday through Friday is 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and each day is a different topic. So you can always go back and rewatch those. I do go back and download each of those videos because I'm gonna start taking those and putting them into a different type of video to be uploaded. I'm working on that too. So with that being said, hello, and Marie, and everybody's saying happy birthday to you and all that good stuff. So thank you very much, and check her out for tomorrow. Make sure you set notifications so y'all can be in her chat and wish her happy birthday tomorrow. So with that being said, like I say before, in each and every show, love always, love is always free. Please be kind to one another till we meet into another chat. Have a blessed and fabulous day. And don't forget to come back now. You hear? Later. Peace out.
Thank you.